Hi, and welcome to Bricolage Daily. Hey, listen, hubby just went to Card Club, and I thought it might be time for me to take apart a couple of books. I apologize for all the book lovers, but I purchased these books. I'm a bit of a hoarder, and there for a while, when I first discovered books by Edith Holden, I started to collect them. And then the price grew and the price grew. So there for a little bit, once I saw a book with a decent price, I went ahead and grabbed them. So these are a few varieties that I have. I think I have one other one. I might have already taken that one apart. It's a smaller size and it's in German. Oh my gosh, it's luscious, but I don't know where those pages are. I'm pretty sure I took that one apart. So this is the Nature Notes of an Edwardian Lady. Now, I'm not sure if you're familiar with Edith Holden, but a lot of us that do junk journaling are. This cover, as you can see, is just a plain, nice green. So I'll use the cover to make a book, but I want to take these pages out and include some pages in my, what did I call it? Not sure what I called it. My Bricolage Daily yesterday was stitching a junk journal together. This one she did in collaboration with a Richard Gorer, Garden Notes. I haven't looked at these in a while. Okay, so I'm not too crazy about this kind of a cover, so this I would probably cover up, but it's still a good cover to build a journal in. But see, it's got all these little luscious pages, and this one is here where you, of course, you can take notes. This is the only one I have, I think, like this. And then, isn't that funny? It's kind of reflecting on the other page. I'm not sure if this is stitched. This looks like it might be glued. So this would be a good one for me to include in my stitched junk journals that I was doing yesterday. And this one was an easier one to find. And this one has a really yummy cover. Now, see, I've got a little discoloration up here, but see, that's okay. And I think one of these, I did some, gosh, I sold it. I'm pretty sure I did some textured paste stenciling down the side, but this makes a really yummy book too. And of course, this has the story of her life, her family, and it's got a few pictures in it as far as her nature notes, what we're used to seeing in most of her books, like this. But it is very different, but it's still Edith Holden stuff, and they're really cool pages for including in a journal, or really just creating a journal by itself. So, have you ever seen somebody take apart a book? If you're a book lover, you might want to cover your eyes. I'm going to try this one, I think, first, because I'm looking for pages that are not folios, but single pages. And I'm trying to get this on the top of my, see, I've got my paper cutter down here. Oh, I think I just sprung the arm. Okay, let's put these somewhere else. I'll put them over here. Now, a lot of times I'll use the cover, so I don't want to get rid of that. The dust jacket, I should say. Oh, look at that yummy drawing on the back. I'm just not a fan of the glossy type covers. So, what you want to do is, if you're taking a book apart, use the pages. Now, the reality is, I'm never going to read this book. I purchased this book to use it to create other journals. And I know that's hard for some folks. Me, not so much, because I'm not a reader. But sometimes you will see where they're stitched together, or other times they're glued. And you might hear some of us, if you're not familiar, oh, maybe it is stitched. You'll hear us talk about signatures. You see this little section right here? That's a signature. That's where they've taken the pages and they've put them together in a grouping and they've stitched them in as an individual or glued them in as an individual. So the first thing I like to do is to really, sometimes you can get your finger down in there, but I want to release the book block. I think that's what it's called, from the cover. And these all have certain names and I don't remember what they are. But I'm trying not to. What I don't want to do is I don't want to pierce through the back of the book. So I'm going to take my little crazy X-Acto knife. I can put my finger in it like that and kind of have control. And I want to stay as close to the book block as I can. Now, my blade is not super sharp, which I think will work somewhat to my advantage because I don't want to. Well, of course, it will poke through there if I'm not careful. And I might do that. But I'm going to try not to. I usually stand it up like this and then just start to slice. And I'm trying to keep my blade really close to that book spine. And sometimes your hand slips. And sometimes, if it's an older book, it just kind of falls apart easily. But if you're pulling your X-Acto knife towards you, you want to be careful that you don't, stab yourself. Now, I could get a sharper blade, but I did have an accident one time. I don't know that I was taking a book apart, but I was using my X-Acto knife, and it got away from me, and I ended up having to have, I think, about 6 stitches in my finger. That was an interesting evening. We were fairly new to our house here in Jersey, and we weren't real familiar with the hospitals and where they were located. And my husband doesn't do well, at least he didn't then. He's a little better now. He didn't do well at night. He would go to bed early because he'd get up so early for work. So he'd only been in bed about an hour, and it was early. It was only like 10 o'clock. But of course I had, blood spurting everywhere. So I went in and I said, I think you're going to have to take me to the hospital. I don't think I can drive because I got to hold my finger. Well, then he didn't know where to go. He didn't know where to take me because we didn't know where any of the hospitals were. So 20 minutes later, I'm like, can we just decide? I really wasn't in pain. It's just that I was tired of holding on to my finger. All right, so once you get it like this and the spine is free from the back of your book cover, it should be pretty easy to just, then come in here and slice through this. And as they say, practice makes perfect. So I'm just going to try it this way. Just going in that little ridge that's there. See, this paper's pretty tough. Now, this book isn't that old. And like I said, my blade is dull. And I didn't get out a new blade just intentionally. Somebody's trying to get a hold of me. Let's see if I can turn that down. Now I'm staying as close to the book block as I can. Now you may not care about the cover, and that's fine. Then you can just have at it and chop it apart any way that you like, or that's easier. You might even be able to get a pair of scissors in there, actually. There we go. Now see, I can use this. I can either, when I decide I might want a wider book journal to put in here, so I might end up taking off the back, or I can make a little backboard and make this a little wider this way so I can make a bigger journal. But this being covered with fabric or something will be really, really a nice substrate for a journal. So now let's see if I can determine if we've got stitches. They're hard to see a lot of times. So I just try to find a starting point. I still don't see it. You will see if you start to do this. Yeah, see, here they are. Sometimes there'll be 4 pages put together and they're stitched. Other times there might be 6 or 8. It just depends on the book. But I like to scoot my blade underneath those stitches. And sometimes you don't get them all and then you tear your paper. So you got to watch. And then you just kind of tug. See, that one's not coming out so easy. Maybe I didn't get both threads. Usually, yeah, see, it's double threads, and you think you get underneath both of them, and you don't always. Ah, I think I did it again. I did, and I just checked. Look, I missed all of them. Once you get that first one wiggled free, they're so, it's very camouflaged. And I think I got it. There we go. So this is what they call a folio. See, in most journals, if you're going journals, if you're going to do a pamphlet stitch, these are nice because they just fold in there. You just put your needle and thread through. But sometimes you have single pages, and they're a little more fiddly to use. But the type of journal that I'm working on currently, if you check out my other Bricolage Daily from yesterday, you'll see what I'm talking about. So I'm just going to continue to undo a couple of these books, and then I'll be able to store my pages and have them ready for when I want to throw them in as part of a journal. See, now you'll get to the final section where these pages don't come apart. They're glued. So now I'm going to find my next signature. Cut the threads. Usually you can count. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I don't see them. Could be my eyes. Yep, there it is. So once you identify how many pages are in the signature in the book that you're taking apart, you should be able to count and get to that same spot. And find the threads where they're stitched together. See, you probably see it's just so camouflaged that they're really hard to see. Now I don't always, now you have to be careful too. You don't want to pierce your paper, damage the paper. And then you just give it a little wiggle like we did before. There we go, see? When you do it correctly, it works like a charm. So that's it for today's bricolage. I'm going to continue to work on these. You don't need to see me do that, do you? No. So I'm probably going to take apart at least one more book. So I have a little bit of a variety. And that'll be it for me as far as recording for today. Not sure what I'm going to do with the pages that are glued together, but we might come up with something clever. We'll see. I know one thing, we're not going to let them go to waste, that's for sure. All right, so I hope to see you next time. Have a great day, and don't forget, take time to be creative and enjoy the journey. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.